Katahdin. Mama K. Riley is enjoying his second rest day after completing his AT dog through hike yesterday by getting to the entrance to Baxter State Park. And I'm enjoying my first rest day. We're on our way to Millinocket, and this is a nice informational sign. Apparently Theodore Roosevelt, this is Theodore Roosevelt right here, in March of 1879, somewhere in Maine, but according to the sign here, he summited Mount Katahdin in August of that year. Yes, so we are having a picnic here. Today is Thursday, October the 18th.
Yes, 17th.
The 17th, yes. And today's the first day that I haven't actually done any AT hiking, but we went to Millinocket today, and there's a Baxter State Park headquarters is actually located in Millinocket. I didn't know that, but it is. And we went in there and talked to the people there and learned that they actually, earlier today, they made the official decision to shut down Katahdin for the season, as opposed to just on a day-by-day basis. So there you go. That at least we know the decision now, and that means I'm gonna head back home. With Riley and my dad, and there is an option to hike over the winter, December 1st through March 31st. I don't need to explain it all now, but I'm gonna look into it and educate myself on it. And but the hike so far has been awesome. Really glad we got the opportunity to do this, and the adventure isn't over yet. But there's a great view of Katahdin. It's definitely been over a minute. He licked the ice cream that I finished earlier, so that probably made him extra thirsty.
Yeah.
That's probably why I wasn't eating earlier. He was just thirsty.
Yeah.
Good boy, Riley. You finished your hike before I did, Riley. Cool. Beautiful day here in
Maine. We're in Maine, so. There you go, Riley.
All right, this is where the Appalachian Trail Cafe is here in Millinocket. We are gonna be heading out today, but we're still in town, and I'm just gonna stop in here. So this is the menu at the AT Cafe here. Very nice, beautiful spot. I love just love the entrance, like the sign above there. But there was another bakery just across the street called the Yum Bake Shop, right across the street. That was amazing. I got 4 slices of homemade bread and a slice of pumpkin swirl cheesecake for my dad, and I got a Maine blueberry raspberry bar and a slice of black Russian cake, which is like a chocolate cake with vodka mixed in, and looks really good. So that I didn't even know that was there. I just saw some other hikers that were hanging out there, but I'm gonna go in and just might get some donuts. They have a AT donut here. Yeah, so just making the most of our time in Millinocket here. All right, hello. Van Gogh and Riley back again. Just wanted to give an update here on what we've been up to since we made it up to Katahdin Stream Campground and Baxter State Park and connected with my dad. Today, by the way, is Friday, October the 25th. So it's been like over a week since I was up in Maine. I hiked into Katahdin Stream Campground on Wednesday the 16th. And Riley and I are on trail right now. We are in Pine Grove Furnace State Park, actually. We took our time driving back. And then I had mentioned before that I would possibly be interested. Riley, come on, dude. Possibly be interested in hiking back to Harper's Ferry to just kind of keep the hiking spirit alive a little bit longer and make sure I didn't arrive back home with a just like completely restless, because I would have been spending several days in the car not getting any exercise. Yeah, so we drove back down to Duncannon, and I'm currentently hiking from Duncannon to Harper's Ferry. That's the plan for now, at least. And we've done about 44 miles so far, closing in on 44, I think. And the trail here is just, the whole section has been so much easier than the trail in New Hampshire and Maine. So much, just, it's so easy to just stand up and walk normally for the most part. Like there are rocks, of course, but they're not like so interwoven with the trail like they are in New Hampshire and Maine. So this is the Swamp Trail. So I think we have about 8/10 of a mile to the Pine Grove Furnace General Store. Let me give before I talk about what we're doing now, let me just give a little update on what's happened since I got picked up. It was just so wonderful to reconnect with my dad. It was just such a wonderful feeling. I hiked into Katahdin Stream Campground on the 16th, and then we were planning to kind of wait for several days as the weather was scheduled to improve to see if they were going to reopen the park. And then I think we got confirmation on like the next day, actually on Thursday. We went into Millinocket and went to the Baxter State Park headquarters office and heard there that they had made a final decision to shut down the park for the hiking season until it reopens for the winter season. And so when we heard that, we decided to that was like in the afternoon, so we decided there was no more point in just waiting around. But we weren't in a rush either, so we spent the night there, and one more night in Millinocket. Come on, big guy. And then we started our drive back the next day on Friday, I believe, and we made it to Gorham the next night, and we had dinner at Zhang's. So there's 2 Chinese buffets in Gorham. I was actually planning the whole time to go to Dynasty Buffet, but we ended up going to Zhang's Buffet. And I ate my heart out. I was so stuffed by the end of it, but it was really good Chinese food. I was really in the mood for Chinese food. I ate so much that I was feeling miserable by the end of it, but I enjoyed the food more like at the start of it before I was overly stuffed. But it was great Chinese food. Yeah, so that really hit the spot. I was so ready for Chinese food. And then we kept going, and we got down further into New Hampshire, because Gorham is right like on the New Hampshire, Maine, or near the New Hampshire, Maine border. And we actually went to back to Pinkham Notch and went to stopped by the lodge there. And then we went to a lot of places. We went to Northampton, and that's a place that my parents have been to many times for vacations, and we went to a spot that my dad was familiar with called The Roost. There's so many nice restaurants in Northampton. It's a very, very vibrant town. There's a college called Smith College there, and there's several other colleges. It's very good economy, and just lots of really good spots to eat at. And so we went to this place called The Roost. Riley, this way, come on. This over here, Riley. Which is a kind of a coffee place, but they also have really nice baked goods and breakfast items. Hello. And I got a breakfast burrito there, and my dad got a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. I also had some peanut noodles, and we also got some chocolate mousse tarts, which were absolutely phenomenal. They were so delicious. So delicious. So that was Northampton. It was cool seeing that place. I hadn't been there before. Riley's I think he's gonna roll on the ground really soon. Anyway, then we continued our drive back, and we stopped at the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. And then continuing down south, I think our next stop was like our next town stop. Well, we actually stopped in Palmerton. I was curious to see this restaurant called Bert's. When we got there, it was closed. They close at 2 p.m. on most days of the week, except for like Friday and Saturday, I think. They're primarily a breakfast place, and that looked like a really nice place. And we just stopped there and walked Riley, and then we finally made it to Duncannon, and I was able to show my dad the ice cream place called 3B's, but we got there like at nighttime, so we spent the night. We found a place to spend the night,
And then I wasn't able to get ice cream there, and I wasn't really in the mood for ice cream because I had already had so much food on the drive back. And they weren't open in the morning, so my dad just dropped me off at the trailhead to go southbound. And yeah, so then Riley and I got back on trail, and when he dropped me off, I got everything I needed, but I forgot to take my trekking poles. So I realized at like 5 minutes after leaving, and of course my dad had already driven away, and I just didn't have a good way to contact him at that point. So the impact is just that I am not able to set up my tent. So it's not the end of the world. I just decided, okay, that's all right, I'll just, Riley, come on, dude. I'll just have to plan to stay in the shelters for the most part. And it's possible that we could cowboy camp as long as I'm confident that it's not going to rain. But for the most part, my plan would be to stay in the shelters, since my tent is a trekking pole tent, and if I don't have my trekking poles, I can't set my tent up. So this was on Tuesday that we started hiking from Duncannon, and the first day we made it like a little over 10 miles and got to Darlington Shelter. Riley, come on. And then the next day, Wednesday, we hiked to Boiling Springs. We hiked through the Cumberland Valley, which is a very, if anyone remembers from watching the video when I hiked through that section northbound earlier this year, that the Cumberland Valley is a very flat section, very easy hiking. And we made it like a little over 14 miles to the town of Boiling Springs, and we stayed at the backpackers campsite that night in Boiling Springs. This was on Wednesday. So we did not stay at a shelter on Wednesday. We actually cowboy camped. And I was thinking that would be all right, because I remembered from my northbound hike that at this backpackers campsite there was a porta potty, a large porta potty, rather large porta potty, so that that just gave me some confidence that if it did start to rain, which I wasn't expecting it to, but if it did start to rain, that we could take shelter inside the porta potty for as long as we needed to. Anyway, the next shelter, because the next shelter, the distance between Darlington Shelter and the next shelter southbound, which is Alec Kennedy Shelter, was like 18.2 miles. So if I wanted to get to the next shelter, I would have had to have hiked another like 3+ miles beyond Boiling Springs, and it was basically dark when we got there, so I didn't want to do that. And I did actually go into town, because the trail took us right into town before we got to the campsite, and I saw that this place called Cafe 101 was open. We got there around a little after 7 p.m. and I saw that they were open, and I was actually not expecting them to be open. Pretty sure we're going the right way here. Pretty sure. So they were actually open till 9 p.m. and we got there a little after 7 p.m. and their kitchen closed at 8:30, and they had outdoor seating. And that was a restaurant that I was actually curious to eat at. But I had not eaten there in 2018, and I did not eat there on my northbound hike this year. So I was like, I'm definitely eating here tonight. So Riley and I were able to get a seat out back, and they have a pretty good selection for their menu, but they're primarily a Mexican place. And I ended up ordering 2 dishes. I ordered the veggie fajitas, And that's usually what I get at Mexican places. And that was excellent. And then I ordered a veggie burrito. They call it the Burrito Verde. And that was really excellent as well. And I was definitely full by the end of it. So by the time we left there, it was like getting close to 10 p.m. probably. Well, it was a little after 9 p.m. But by the time we got to the campsite, it was around 10 p.m. And when we got to the campsite, I noticed that the porta potty that I was kind of relying on in case it rained, I noticed that it wasn't there. So when we went to bed that night, I was just really hoping that it wasn't going to rain. I was pretty confident that it wasn't going to rain because I did check the weather forecast when I had the chance to do so at the restaurant. Anyway, so long story short, it did not rain and we made it through the night safely and soundly. All right, so that was continuing on here. That was Wednesday. We stayed at the Boiling Springs campground, and then Thursday, oh my goodness, Riley, come on. He has no idea that we're about to see my dad. So Thursday we made it to this shelter called James Fry Shelter. We did about like a little under 12 miles, I think, from Boiling Springs. And we got to James Fry Shelter. And I gave my parents an update and told them that I had forgotten my trekking poles. And that because of that, we were staying in shelters. And then, lo and behold, my dad decided to drive out today and meet me here so he can give me my trekking poles. So that's pretty cool. And so I'm thinking he's gonna meet us. That's his car up there. That's his car up there. The general store is closed today, but I'm having the idea that we might be able to retry the half-gallon challenge. Hello. Hello, I'm finally here. This is the Green Mountain General Store in Delhi, which is the alternative place for the half-gallon challenge for southbounders, since it's open every day throughout the year, whereas the Pine Grove Furnace General Store is only open every day through Labor Day, and then they're open on weekends after Labor Day, and then this weekend is actually the last weekend that they're closed. So I'm gonna go in here and pick out some ice cream. All right, so I'm picking out my flavor here. I'm gonna do the moose tracks again for the tub. And then they have various options for the points here, dulce de leche, but I'll figure that out once I work on the tub here. And I'm gonna go outside and eat it. All right, so I'm about to start here. Got the ice cream, the first ice cream, and it is, just to keep track of the time, 4:17. I'm not trying to do this as fast as I can or anything, but 4:17. Points. About 4:45. And making a little progress here. Still got a long way to go. All right, so I finished the tub. It is now 5:25, so that's an hour and 8 minutes since 4:17, and I'm gonna go in and get my pint now. All right, so I decided on butter pecan flavor, and gotta finish the job here. Mr. Riley. Okay, so we are back at Pine Grove Furnace General Store. Got my butter pecan right here, and I was eating it in the car. Close to halfway finished, just taking my time with it. My dad has driven off to get back home since it's gonna get dark soon, so don't want to hold him up any further. And fortunately, I have my trekking poles. There they are. They're just all shortened
So now Riley and I have the flexibility to tent, which is wonderful. As I remember, we just need to get, it's going to get dark soon. It's like already like 6 o'clock. And just a little ways out of the park, there is some land to tent on, as I remember. So that's probably where we will stay tonight. I'm able to charge my phone here, and they have a little free library there. And I have my book that I'm reading, but I always like to look at these books that they have. They have a book on Pete Maravich. I don't know a lot about Pete Maravich, but I am a basketball fan, and Pete Maravich apparently was a very good player in his time. That's a photo of Pete Maravich guarded by Bill Bradley there, I think. Number 24 for the Knicks. And then this book called Get Shorty. I know this was made into a movie, and I kind of like reading books that were made into movies. So I think I might take both of these and read them at some point. All right, I got work to do. I'm gonna finish this ice cream here. All right, I've finally finished. Let's take a look. I think that's done. Butter pecan. That's a lot of ice cream. I wasn't even like super hungry because I wasn't expecting to do this today. So I had a breakfast this morning, like just what I had for breakfast, just trail breakfast. Like I had bread and peanut butter, and I had some cream cheese, but I ate enough to get myself full. And then I only had like 7 miles to hike here today. But I figured I failed last time, and this is kind of the place to do it. So I hiked past the Green Mountain. Like I could have gone to the general store yesterday, but I passed the road that goes in there about 6 p.m. or so. It was getting late in the day, and I knew that if I did go in, that we would end up having to hike the rest of the distance, like over a mile to the shelter, and it would already be dark. And I decided it wasn't worth it, and that I just wanted to get to the shelter without having to hike in the dark. But it just happened today that since my dad decided to drive up here, that why not go get some ice cream and try it again with him. So I was successful, but it took me a long time. Let's check what the time is here. The time is 6:20. Well, it was 6:22. So that's I started at 4:17, so that's 2 hours and 5 minutes. The other two southbounders that did it yesterday did it in under 30 minutes. So 2 hours and 5 minutes for me, but at least I don't feel like awful right now. I needed to take that much time so that I could pace myself. The record for somebody doing this, as I understand it, was set in 2023, and it was like 3 minutes and like 37 seconds. That guy must have been really hungry to be able to do it that fast. Anyway, that's the half-gallon challenge. And I'm going to pack stuff up now, and we're going to go find our campsite and settle down for the night. Mr. Riley. All right, so we are at Tumbling Run Shelters in southern PA. There's 2 shelters here. So the right shelter, I'm not sure if I emphasized this when I passed by on the northbound hike, but the right shelter is designated as non-snoring. The left shelter is designated as snoring. I don't think I even noticed that when I was hiking through here previously, or on my 2018 hike. But I remember being told about it by other hikers, and it's kind of cool that they have that. And so Riley and I took a break here, a long break.
as we're hiking back to Harper's Ferry, and we're continuing on now. But yeah, just to give a little update on Riley and my post-hike. We are still on our way back from Duncannon to Harper's Ferry. We're in the southern PA section, and we're about 50 miles from Harper's Ferry now. The whole hike from Duncannon to Harper's Ferry was about 125 miles, so we're over halfway there. And we're doing fine. Riley's doing fine. The terrain is definitely pleasant compared to New Hampshire and Maine. Come on, Riley. All right, so Riley and I are continuing on here. We just talked to a guy that we met at the shelter, actually. He walked up and he does some shelter maintenance from time to time, and then he left before us, but evidently he parked right there at the parking lot, and he actually offered us a ride into the town of Blue Ridge Summit. I had mentioned to him that we were gonna hike in there because there's a Dollar General. I believe it's supposed to be like 1.2 miles off trail, and we're ready for a little resupply. I'm getting low on food and low on dog food, and he offered us a ride, which was super nice of him to do. But it was just a one-way ride, so he said he was going by the store and he would be happy to drop us off there. But then if he did, then this isn't the road that I was going to take to get there. Come on, Riley, we got to go this way. Trail goes this way. And so basically we would kind of miss a section on the trail, and I'd rather do the whole trail that we're doing. So we're just going to continue on. We still have about like a little over 5 miles to go to get to the road that leads into Blue Ridge Summit, where it's like shortest to walk into. So we're just going to continue on. One of the things that's kind of I'm using for motivation on this hike, I'm kind of ready to be done. I'm kind of looking forward to just not having to hike every day. Now we go this way, I guess. And so I've been struggling a bit with motivating myself each day. And one of the things, well, there's always the easy thing to motivate yourself, which is that you can't just stay still, because we're going to run out of food eventually. So if you don't want to run out of food and you want to stay alive, you got to keep hiking. But in terms of trying to get back to Harper's Ferry, like all the way back to Harper's Ferry, come on, Riley. One of the other things that I'm sort of using to provide motivation is that back in 2017, when I did my very first hike on the AT, I hiked from Springer to Glasgow, specifically John's Hollow Shelter, which was a little bit north of the road that leads into Glasgow. Come on, Mr. Riley. Over here, big guy. And that's where I ended that first hike. At some point, I could potentially use that and try to do like a, like basically piece together a section hike of the AT, where it doesn't have to be a full through hike, but it can be Springer Mountain to Mount Katahdin done in smaller chunks, smaller sections over multiple years. And this hike here from Duncannon to Harper's Ferry can be a piece of that. So I can add it to what I did in 2017, which was about 785 miles or so. And this is about 125 miles. And then, you know, during other times in my future life, when I have time to do some type of hike, but not necessarily time to do a full through hike, I could potentially try to do, you know, smaller sections of the AT and target those areas like outside of the ones I've already done. So like I could try to target like Glasgow to Harper's Ferry, for example, and then areas north of Duncannon, in whatever chunks make sense based on how much time I have available, and eventually kind of piece that together and form a continuous hike. And then if I'm able to do that, then that would be a third, well, it would basically just be a section hike that would be completed over multiple years. And it would just be like a goal that I could try to achieve, and plan my hikes around trying to achieve that goal. And this hike could contribute to that. So that's one thing that I'm using for motivation. But another thing is that I'm still planning to try to complete the Mount Katahdin summit over the winter, and I've gotten a little more information about that. There's several other hikers that are in the same position as myself, and we've made contact with a guide. Come on, Riley. And I think we're targeting, I'm not sure of the exact dates, but I think we're targeting sometime in December to try to hike up Mount Katahdin. And I'm gonna need to do a lot of preparation for that, and part of the preparation is to acquire a lot of winter hiking gear that I don't already have. But another thing is that I'm gonna need to stay in hiking shape, and so just this hike that we're doing back to Harper's Ferry is a way for us to stay, or for me to stay in good hiking shape, at least for the time that we're doing this. And it'll make it that much easier for me to stay in shape when I do get off trail. At least it'll delay the time where I'm starting to get out of shape, and it'll just be up to me once I get off trail to do the best I can to stay in decent hiking shape, so that once we're ready to actually try the summit of Katahdin, that I'm in good shape, good enough shape to be able to do that. All right, Mr. Riley, so that's a little update, right? Yes, that's a little update. That's a long update. It's not a little update, that's a long update. Another thought I had, actually, all right, so two other things. I in my previous update, I didn't mention that we did stop at Tony's Deli in New York. That was one of the popular stops among hikers. Riley and I did not stop there on my northbound hike because it's like a half mile off trail, but that was one place where we were able to stop on the drive back from Maine with my dad. and it's a nice little deli. They have a good selection of subs, and both for breakfast and for lunch. And I was able to get like a egg and cheese sub, and I got 3 subs: an egg and cheese sub, an egg, cheese, and hash brown sub, both breakfast subs, and then I also got a eggplant parmesan sub. And they were all excellent subs. The eggplant parmesan sub was like a lunch sub, and I was very pleased with the size of the sub. It was very well packed. So yeah, it was cool being able to see Tony's Deli, because I hadn't been there before. So another thought that I had, since I completed the half-gallon challenge just a few days ago at the Green Mountain Deli, and when I completed it, I was definitely ice creamed out. I had definitely consumed more than my fair share of ice cream. I didn't feel awful, but I was definitely at the point where I was not enjoying the ice cream the way I should be enjoying it. And I was thinking that if I do a future thru hike, that it could be a good idea to delay the ice cream challenge until Duncannon. Partly because I feel like at the Pine Grove Furnace General Store, I feel like they overcharge for the ice cream. They charge $12 for the whole half gallon, which is way more than the ice cream should cost. So that they're kind of price gouging hikers, because it's in the name of the half gallon challenge. Basically it's a tub of ice cream, which is 1.5 quarts. And at a regular grocery store, that ice cream should cost, like a tub should be $3 or around $3, and then a pint should be maybe $2 or $1.50. So basically less than $5 for the full half gallon, but they charge $12. It's an awesome idea, but I don't necessarily like the fact that they charge so much more than it should cost. And in Duncannon, I've mentioned before, there's this ice cream shop called 3B's. Mr. Riley, what's going on, buddy? And 3B's is it's a super quality ice cream shop, and they, in addition to having, I'm sure, a lot of hikers stop by there, they have just a lot of locals that stop by there. And so I think their main customer base is the locals in the town that stop by there and just know that they're an awesome ice cream place. And so as a result of that, I don't think that I don't think their prices are overly high given the quality of their ice cream. I feel like their prices, they charge $7.50 for a quart. So for 2 quarts, which would be a half gallon, it would be $15 for a half gallon, which it would be more than it costs at the Pine Grove Furnace General Store. But at the same time, the quality of the ice cream it's not like a standard Hershey's ice cream. I've had it before, and I just feel like the quality is way up there in terms of ice cream quality. So even though it's more money, I feel like it's well worth it. So that's just an idea that I will, if I ever do another thru hike, I will definitely be contemplating. So I just wanted to share that little thought. And the weather has been fantastic on our hike so far. There hasn't been any rain that we've had to deal with since leaving Duncannon. We've been on the trail about a week now. Today's Monday the 28th, and we started on Tuesday the 22nd. And the temperature has been pretty nice. And it gets chilly at night, but it's nothing we're not used to, hiking through New Hampshire and Maine so recently. So yeah, things are going fine, and slowly but surely we're working our way towards Harper's Ferry, and then once I get off trail, I'm gonna start to plan a lot more for the winter hike, and then as we get closer to that, I'll provide some more updates, and then try to do some filming. Assuming I go forward with the plan, I'll certainly try to do some filming of the actual hike. Hello, Riley. So a train just went by, and we happen to be right here at the Mason-Dixon line, crossing into Maryland here on our southbound hike back to Harper's Ferry. And they have a nice little logbook here, and I'm looking in to see who signed it, and right now I'm actually looking back to see where I signed it, and I signed it back on 7/18. Van Gogh and Riley crossing into PA on 7/18, and look who came right after me. Scorp was right after me. This is the first time I've actually seen him sign a trail log or a trail register. I know so many more people here. This is Princess, came through on 7/14. I remember, like a lot of these people I didn't even meet until later on in the hike. I met Otis, I met Mud, Uno, Powerfinger, Tick Magnet. I never met Tick Magnet, but I saw his, he always has a characteristic signature. There's Alpine, 7/24, 6 days after me. Very cool. CJ. I never met CJ, but I remember seeing his or her name. This is Bones. He is now a southbound hiker, beginning my final patrol for the season, Penmar to Pine Grove, Micho State Forest Ridge Runner. And now he's a southbound hiker. And he signed back, today's 10/29, he signed on 10/26. And he is apparently attempting the 4-state challenge. And then here's Plum and Deep Dish, who I met like the first night out after leaving Duncannon. So I'm gonna sign again for Riley and I. Today's 10/29. Riley plus Van Gogh. I guess I'll say hiking Duncannon to Harper's Ferry. After our, I feel like I'm bragging or showing off by writing after our Nobo through hike. I apologize if that is what is indeed what I'm doing, but I don't know. Cool. Double exclamation point. Cool. Mr. Riley, let's put this back in here. This trail log has seen better days. It's good that we are close to the end of the season here. And this mailbox has seen better days. So, little update here. Only have 3% left. Riley and I went into Blue Ridge Summit, PA last night, towards the end of the day, and we got to the Dollar General. And then we met this guy who offered us to, he was like just curious about us. He was asking us questions about our hike in the Dollar General. And he lived like really close by. He was just there getting some ice cream, and he offered Riley and I to spend the night with him and his wife. And so we got to sleep in a bed last night, and he gave me some, he just made us feel at home, and it was awesome spending the night with him last night. I got to talk to him like late into the night because I wasn't under any time pressure, and he gave me some delicious crab soup, and he had 3 dogs, but we made it work and kept them all safe. Riley and I just kind of spent the night. We had our own private room, so super nice. His name is Bob, and his wife's name is Barb, and Bob and Barb, B&B. And they actually they live really close to the trail, but they also hiked part of it back in like 2005, a long time ago. They said they hiked from like Harper's Ferry to I think like close to Port Clinton. We are approaching the Washington Monument. This is the original Washington Monument. I bet a very large percentage of human beings do not know that this exists. But we are still on our southbound hike back to Harper's Ferry, and we are hiking back. This is our first state park that we're getting to in Maryland. Washington Monument State Park, I believe. And this is the original Washington Monument. There's a sign here explaining stuff about it. I did not visit this on our northbound hike because I was in such a hurry to get north. Hold up, buddy, let's read this here. I'm gonna feed Riley when we get down to the area where there's water spigots. All right, Washington Monument. Volunteer villagers of nearby Boonesboro celebrated their Independence Day, July 4th, 1827, by building and dedicating this first monument to the memory of George Washington. So that was like 28 years or so after he died. I think he died in 1799, it said. Repaired and altered many times over, 100 years by patriotic citizens, it was finally restored to its original design in 1934 to 36 by the CCC. This monument, used by the Union Army during the Civil War as a signal station. Okay, Riley. As a signal station, and its surrounding land was bought by the Washington County Historical Society in 1922 and presented to Maryland for park development in 1934. This massive structure was certified a Maryland Historical Monument in March 1972 and a National Historical Monument in November 1972. All right, pretty cool that this thing is open here. Hold up, buddy. Hold up, buddy. Pretty sweet here. Almost, Riley. Almost, buddy. Lots of steps.
Very windy day. Hold up, buddy. Hold up, Riley. Hold up, buddy. Hold up, Riley. Hold up, man. Hold up, buddy. All right, this is another state park area in Maryland. The second one that we've got come across. So these are the ruins in Gathland State Park. An old stone structure. George A. Townsend reporting the Lincoln assassination. This sounds interesting. Early in 1865, a 24-year-old George Alfred Townsend, 1841 to 1914, began working in Washington, D.C. as a reporter for the New York World after stints at the Philadelphia Inquirer and New York Herald. In April and May 1865, using the pen name Gaff, he filed daily reports on President Abraham Lincoln's assassination and its aftermath. Townsend had gained a following during the Civil War for his use of interviews, then a revolutionary technique, and his ability to describe feelings as well as relate facts. And this is a picture of George Townsend in 1860, then a 19-year-old reporter. His coverage of the conspirators' trial made him a household name. As a drama critic for the Inquirer, Townsend had met actor John Wilkes Booth and described him as haughty. Townsend's reports on Lincoln's assassination in 1865, beginning with the murder on April 14th and ending with the executions on July 7th, were products of long days spent interviewing witnesses and even longer nights transforming those interviews into articles for a news-hungry public. Late in 1865, his articles were published in book form as The Life, Crime, and Capture of John Wilkes Booth. And there's a picture of the book, The Life, Crime, and Capture of John Wilkes Booth. Townsend's articles on the Booth trial were collected and published in 1865. Okay, Townsend pursued a literary career to build on his reporting success. He had a gift for mixing fact and fiction, perfecting this style in his 1886 novel Katie of Catoctin, in which Booth appears. While conducting research for the book, Townsend came upon this site and purchased the property within 2 months. Townsend wrote about 50 million words in books, novels, speeches, and daily newspaper columns during his 50-year career, many of which were composed here at Gathland. And it's interesting that he used the pen name Gaff. Not sure why he chose that pen name. Picture of John Wilkes Booth right there. Assassination of Lincoln, published in Harper's Weekly. And then George Townsend, Samuel Clemens, aka Mark Twain, and David Gray, circa 1870s. Pretty cool. George A. Townsend. All right, Mr. Riley, what do you think? There's more this way, more this way. And this says, this is the War Correspondents Memorial right there. War Correspondents, it says. Very cool. Mr. Riley. Riley. Riley, yes. Hello, hello, hello. Guess where we are? We are at the Appalachian Trail Conservancy in Harper's Ferry. Harper's Ferry, Appalachian Trail Conservancy. Visitor Center. All right, so didn't take much video on this
second hike from Duncannon to Harper's Ferry, and I'm kind of ready to be done. I feel like I'm ready to not have to hike every day, and glad to be here. So my parents are going to meet us here. They're not here yet, but they'll be here sometime. It's still early in the day. It's like 10:20 a.m. It's Sunday, November 3rd. And Riley is looking beautiful. I got my pack over there. I'm gonna go inside and charge my phone because it's almost running out of battery, but they do allow dogs inside. And so we're gonna go chill out in the hiker lounge. We started the day at Ed Garvey Shelter. There were a lot of people there last night near the shelter, but it's a beautiful shelter. There's 2 stories, and Riley and I had the whole bottom floor to ourselves. And then we got up like maybe the earliest, or one of the earliest, definitely one of the earliest that we've ever gotten up. And it's all because like there were so many people there that I could hear everyone getting ready, and I was like, all right, let's go. And plus it helps because I had something to look forward to today, which was getting to Harper's Ferry, and I knew it was not too far, so motivated to get here. Yes, Riley, we're gonna go inside now. All right, we'll check in maybe later.